that's what's coming up now.
Craig brings in a lot of props, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
For
I
those
have
of you
all
who
kinds of
don't
stuff
know
over
yet.
here. I can't keep up with all of it.
It's a various assortment. On screen, the radio room, speaking of which, limited edition. Now, one of the things I want to emphasize is, first of all, this is an option where you do have, speaking of the NATO style strap at $297. Also, we are in limited quantity, and you are looking at some of the original dials. Now, if you want to get the one that's closest to the actual clock, and you'll actually see that clock in a moment here, then you want the one that's the red and the white. The other two options, there's going to be a green option, and then there's going to be the orange. Now, both of those dials, for the record, have luminous dials, and I don't think that's going to be as true, frankly. Let me double check that, but I think the red I don't think is. It's a ducal white dial. But the other two dials are going to be luminous. Now, in the limited time that we have, there's going to be a lot to talk about in this watch. First of all, the story alone for the inspiration is wonderful, and then you start to get into the ingredients that go into this thing.
Yeah, ignore me for a second here, guys, because I'm getting all my props and stuff together.
I'll give you the short version of the story, and then we'll turn you over to Craig, and he's actually taken one of these apart. You get to see some of what goes on the inside of this. When it says the radio room, this is actually based on a maritime clock, and it actually goes back to the Titanic in the sense of one of, not the only, but one of the contributing factors to the Titanic disaster was they could not get their signal out due to radio interference and radio chatter. That has resulted in a very strict maritime law which states, and you see those conical shapes, it's in those shapes that there's to be absolute radio silence unless there is an emergency. And I think in the one where it is solid, there is, I think, a little bit, you can actually speak.
You could speak
but the
in the
other
solid,
one,
the other one's Morse code
is only Morse code. So that's the kind of the back history. And what a success story this has been for you guys.
You know, this is my personal favorite. I love this watch. It was conceived by our company. We actually had to convince Vostok Europe to do it. Igor was against the idea. He thought it was going to be a little too weird. And I kept telling him, and Tim did too, that no, these guys are going to love this because of the story, and the dial will be different, and so forth and so on. And we were happily right, and Igor is very happy that we were right. This is the clock sitting here, which Tim was talking about, that is the inspiration. And why did we do this in the Vostok Europe and in the Russian execution? Because the clock you're looking at here was built by the Vostok company of Chisipohl, Russia, and it's the same company that builds the movement that's in the watch. I'm not going to have enough time. We only have a minute left, but I did want to show this is the full lume dial. A couple of things to quickly show. This is the movement holder. So you've got a full metal movement holder. A lot of watches use plastic movement holders. Vostok Europe only uses metal movement holders. It's just another indication of the quality. I've got the full lume dial here. If we could get a quick shot on that. And I think two of the executions in this set have the full lume dial. And there's your lume shot. I love this watch on the NATO. It really makes the color combinations pop fantastically on the NATO. And this is the first time we've had these on the NATO. And again, it's under 300 to get anything with the Vostok proprietary movement. This is a dual time, 200 meter water resistance. We're almost out of time, but I did want to show that there was a big article about it in About Time magazine, which is a magazine that focuses on watches under $2,400. There you can see the clock. And this tells the whole story of the radio room. So I think we've got other radio rooms tonight. We may get a little more time to talk about the radio room, but this is a beloved watch now.
It really is.
I've got guys that have all 9 executions.